Hello boys and girls, I'm Dave Koch and welcome back to my channel. Please excuse my rather relaxed attire, my whole relaxed attitude today. I'm heading out on a flight tomorrow to the East Coast, and today is just a day of putting together all my trip necessities and everything I need for the trip. And I wasn't going to make this video, and then I thought, you know what? It's 2 in the afternoon. Let's have some fun. So I am making a little video to show you what I would take on a trip for a job. The first thing is, I spend the previous 2, maybe even 3 days thinking about all the different things that I'm going to need. I make up a little bit of a shot list. I have a firm idea in my mind where I'm going and what I'm going to need. For this photography trip, I'm going to be shooting an airplane. It'll be a rather small airplane, which means I'm going to need all my wider lenses. That being said, I still love my 85 1.8, so that's on the list to go too. But the big one is this one. This is a 17 millimeter, 14 millimeter, let's see, 17 millimeter, boy, I'm dumb, f4 tilt shift. This will be my primary lens for the shoot. And this will be my backup camera. I put everything I need, absolutely positively have to have, need, cannot do the shoot without in this. This is a flight case. This will fit overhead. And let me tell you, this thing is packed full. So this is pretty much where we're going to start. And even though this and this are my necessities, neither one are going in here. This is already full with everything else. So let's start taking a look in there and see what we've got. You can see it's packed pretty tight. One thing on this shoot I'm going to need is video. So this is actually my backup. I don't really want to shoot on an iPhone, but if I have to, I will. If I lose my case, this is what I'll shoot with. I have an iPhone 16 Pro Max, Max Pro, whatever the heck it is, and I will use this and that. But that is not my primary goal. This is a backup. I have a regular 35 millimeter gimbal with, that will fit this camera, and has a screen and all that, so I can record and log, and that's my primary. This is my backup. So I do have that in case the primary gets lost. It's just too big to fit in here. I have this, which is primarily for shooting with an iPhone, but I'm going to try it as something to hold some of my lights with. I think that might work out and be a good option. Generally, in a plane, I can take one of these with this base and set it places with my MagMod on top and get pretty good lighting. But I'm going to go ahead and see if maybe that might work a little better. We'll see. I'll probably use the clamp when I do it for real. So what do we have in here? We have two 8200s. Those again are my go-tos. And then I have an AD100 Pro as a backup. This again will take the MagMod Pros. This is more for the cockpit lighting where it's just really tight, or the bathroom. But I've got lots of options. 2 backup batteries for this, and 2 backup batteries for the AD200s. I believe I'm shooting 2 airplanes, and I don't think I'll even get to the backups. Okay, we have a mount, a tripod mount for this. We have a 24 millimeter tilt shift, and this is going with me because this is just too big to fit in here. I could not make that work. So I've got the 17 millimeter covered with the 14 millimeter on my primary camera. The primary camera I'm going to take is a Z8, and I'm taking my 14 to 30 f4, which is again not my first choice in a lens. Like I said, this will probably be what I'll shoot with, but if this gets lost in shipment, I've got this and this will cover for that and I'll be able to do it just fine. This also doubles as a great primary lens for shooting the video. So it's doing double duty. This probably not as good for shooting video, but again, if I lost this, I would make do with that. So that's where we are with that. Then over here we have the 85 hiding. And again, I just love 85s. Shoot that at 1.8 and I get those classic little insert shots of the belt buckles or the food or the stitching on the chairs or whatever. You know, that's a fun lens and a really good lens. Lens cleaner. I have spent most of the morning taking all of these apart, blowing them out with my little rocket blower, cleaning them with lens cleaning fluid, and now everything is super, super clean. I seem to have 2 of those. Here's another little tiny tripod mount. That'll work. So anyway, that's what's going with me. All the lights that I could possibly need, plenty of battery backups. There will be 2 or 3 camera battery backups in here too. They are just charging right now. All my diffusion, my base diffusion that I need, all that in here. So if this is all I land with, I can still accomplish my shoot. And that's the most important thing. It's a little tight, but there we go. Now let's look at some of the other things. As I said, this will be in my checked luggage. As much as I don't want to do that, I just cannot. This may go in my backpack. Depends on how much room I have. So that's probably, it's an option I'm going to look at once I get the backpack filled up. Because that'll be carry-on too. And then for sure I'll have that. This will be my backup camera. This is a Z7 II. And I'm taking the 24-70 on there, which is a good intermediate lens too. If I lose this I can get through the shoot with also, just not quite as well. I have a lot of these hanging out. These are my little battery backups. And I'm obviously charging one. This is the Anker 737. This thing will power my laptop, so this is a good thing to have. Keep these all fully up to charge. You can see I'm still charging. That's why they're still here working. But I definitely take those, and those all go in my backpack, which is right here. I use this Thule, and it has plenty of space in it. I put my meds, because you knew I was on meds, right? Put those and backup glasses in here. That way I have instant access to them. Then right in here, basic toiletries, things that I need, things that I'll want to grab, some backup cables, all kinds of stuff gets thrown in there. Then I have 2 large pack sections. This back one is where I put my MacBook Pro, and that fits in there great. And then I put all the cables and cabling I need for that there, including the power supply, all the card readers and all that will go in there. And then this next section is where I'm going to put my second monitor, which this will be the first time I use this on an away trip. So I'm testing that. I'm taking all the cables that came with it and a power charger, and we'll see how that goes. And then, you need a breakout box with your Ethernet and a card reader and stuff like that. So I've got all that in there. So if this doesn't get too bulky, this is probably going to go in there. This will go under the seat in front of me, and this will go in the overhead. So no matter what, I have all this stuff, and I will be able to survive with that. Now, what do I check? I'm gone 3 days, so I'm going to check a bag with obviously a couple sets of clothes And then my backup camera rig. I will put in there my backup tripod, which is a Peak Design travel tripod. I love that tripod. It's about this long. It weighs nothing. That's really good to put in there. And I think really that's about it. That'll get me just about everything I need. And then I have one other bag, and that's back here. This is my tripod bag. And I am taking my lightest serviceable tripod, not my favorite one, but it's serviceable. It's a Manfrotto that I've had for years, and as long as I don't do anything crazy with this, it's gonna work fine for me. And then I have a head. I have the Really Right Stuff BH55 here. I was down at Really Right Stuff the other day. I had a great time. I talked with Joe Jr., and he took a look at this and he goes, give me that, let me play with that. And he took this in the back and oiled it all up for me and greased it all up and got it working really good. So I'm very happy to have this thing back to just peak condition. So really happy to use that. I use a lens McMuffin, I don't know, lens, whatever you would call that, to kind of protect the heads. I do that on all my tripods for all my heads. And then I'm taking 2 sheets. One, it's so black you can hardly see it. This is Duvetine, and this is blacker than black. And I use this to either block light or hide things. And it's a really wonderful thing. And it also pads the tripod on one side. And then I'll use this on the other. This is a white that I can use to scrim the light coming in the windows or the door or something like that. It's from Westcott. This, I think, Cheyenne Crawford in Atlanta told me about this. And then Tacey up in, oh yeah, you gotta have the Westcott. And Chris, everybody was like, oh yeah, you don't have one of those, you need that one. So again, this is new for me, but obviously something a lot of people use. Typically what I had been doing up to this point was taping tracing paper over each of the windows to get a really good soft light inside. I think this will be a lot quicker, and with a little bit of gaffer tape, you know, I could do it the whole side of the aircraft with one sheet, I hope. I've got an Airbus 318 coming up in a couple of weeks. This will not cover an Airbus A319, but I don't think I'm going to be too worried about the windows on that one. Anyway, so that is everything I am packing and humping to New York with. So I hope I've got everything. I will, of course, think of something while I'm there that I didn't get, but this should cover it, and it's manageable by one person, I think. So anyway, I hope that helps. You know, this is not the loadout you should have unless you're going to New York and shooting a couple of airplanes and shooting video. This is kind of what I'm taking for what I think I am going to need for my shoot. If I were shooting architecture, I'd probably have, I have a couple of really good small portable light stands I would take in here. When I went to Belgium 2 years ago to shoot that house, I put those in here too. Actually, I put those in carry-on. They were small enough to fit in my carry-on. And, you know, you just got to look at each shoot and plan for it based on what the idiosyncrasies of that shoot are, and then load out for that. One of the things I'm a big proponent of is 2 is 1 and 1 is none. And that's why you'll see I am doubled down on everything I could possibly use. Tripods, lights. I can get by if I lose any component of this whole thing. And hopefully, knock on wood, I'm not going to, but I'm ready for it just in case, because when you're not ready for it, that's when it happens. When you're planned out and when you're set and ready, generally nothing bad happens. At least that's what I'm hoping. Let me just jump in here real quick. This is Dave from the future, although not that much of a future because I'm still wearing the same thing. I did want to talk a little bit about booking your flight when you're flying and going out of town for a shoot. Whenever possible, I try and get, well, first off, I'm in Salt Lake. I think most of you knew that, but yeah, I'm in Salt Lake, which is a Delta hub, which is good for me. If I can't fly somewhere direct, I fly here to Atlanta and then I'm there. But Salt Lake's got a lot of very good direct flights. Anyway, I do not like main cabin. I get at least Delta Plus. I think that's what it's called. Delta Comfort Plus. Ooh, something like that. I think first off, find whoever the carrier is that has a hub in your local airport. That's key. And definitely get on their mileage program so that you can start accruing miles. That's a good thing. And if you can, if there's an associated credit card, get that, because that will help you get even more miles. And you know, at the end of the year, when you surprise your husband or wife or significant other or whomever and say, hey, we're going to Paris next week, you know, that's kind of a cool thing, especially when you can do that for free with miles. So with Delta, that's Amex, and that works out really good. I do all my business purchases on Amex. Okay, enough of an ad. I don't get any kickback from them or anything, but there you go. That's what I do. Anyway, I get at least Delta Comfort Plus. That guarantees me a place in the overhead for this, which is my primary concern. Also, being a gold medallion member, I get expedited baggage and stuff like that. And I don't really think they take better care of me, but they pretend that they do. But it does help a little bit. Plus, one of my favorite things in the world is to sit in a sky lounge and have a couple of mimosas while I'm waiting for my flight. So for me, being a member of the Sky Miles and all that works out really well. But you definitely want something like Delta Plus or Comfort Plus, not just because of the extra room, although that's very key. But you know, like tomorrow when I'm flying across country, I don't want to do that stuffed in the cabin and all that. So it'll be nice to stretch out a little bit. On top of which, I get a couple of extra carry-on bags for free. I don't have to pay for those. And when you look at it, the cost increase for Comfort Plus is just about equal to the cost of the upgrade to Comfort Plus. So, you know, if you have to sell it to your client, say, you know, you were going to pay for it one way or the other. Why not have a happy photographer? And I've said that more than once, and they've gone, oh, okay. Generally, I can't pull off first class. I have gotten first class once or twice because it was the only option, and it really wasn't that much more expensive. This flight, I think it's $1,000 more. Yeah, not going to happen. But if you can guarantee yourself the overhead space, I know on Southwest, I'll be going to Vegas to do a shoot, and they always fly me Southwest. And I just personally pay for the upgrade to the Business Plus, because then I'm in A1 through 15, get in, I have a place to put my camera gear and all that. So anyway, sorry for the insert, but I wanted to make sure that I talked about, you know, go ahead and upgrade and have a happy flight, because you arriving non-flustered and happy is super important to getting a good shoot the next day. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to this shoot. I'm going to see a couple of other photographers while I'm back east, and very excited to see all of them. And, you know, I just can't wait. Plus, it's going to be a very, very fun shoot. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. It will be my next best shoot. And so for you, I hope your next shoot is your best shoot.